Broadcasting from the heart of downtown Hollywood. This is SoFloRadio.com. Z Nation. Z Nation. Where consciousness is queen, love really is the answer. And making a difference is on the menu. Z Nation. Organic beats and inspiring treats. Get your weekly dose of vitamin Z now. This is Z Nation on SoFloRadio.com.
Happy day, everyone. This is Z-Love, Zayna de Gaia, live from SoFloRadio.com in Hollywood, Florida. Man, I love those beats.
Yeah, those are good beats.
You know, I just want to, just acknowledge and thank my friend and teacher, Chris Hudspeth, who created this track.
Yeah, and a lot of the other, we play a lot of his original music on rotation here at SoFlo Radio.
Yeah, Chris
He's a good guy. He's our production genius whiz.
He's a ninja.
The other half of SoFlo Radio, the part that you don't see. Since I'm on this all the time, doing the live shows.
Yeah.
You don't see the invisible warrior, Chris Hudspeth.
Thank you, Chris. You know, Chris is how I got here. We were recording my Thank You for HPV book, which we'll talk about on another episode. We were doing the audio version, and that's how I met you, George.
Yeah, on the hallway. And I invited you on the show, and you came on the show, and we talked about all kinds of fun things like HPV and asparagus. I'm going to have asparagus integrated into my family crest, by the way. You know, sometimes there's like ivy or something framing it. Mine's going to be asparagus, you know, I might as well. It's a very important part of my life.
So I'm so grateful. I love the opening he created for us, and you know, we sat down and we wrote that together in like 10 minutes. It just downloaded, and it was just really fun. So thank you, Chris. Thank you, George. So wow, here we are again. I really love this platform, and I love being able to share with you guys my my adventures, my thoughts, and also I get to have all my friends on here, my greatest friends and my greatest teachers. I'm so blessed. I have so many cool friends doing really, really, really great things, and I get to learn from all of them. So today we have Ricky Tree.
Ricky Tree, Ricky Lopez, Tree. Whatever it is.
It's like, you know, we all get to recreate ourselves. Like I'm Z-Love. So Ricky Tree, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Yeah. We're going to get more into what Ricky does. Ricky is an expert in plant-based living. He's also a certified ninja in aroma therapy, permaculture, yoga, Reiki, all these healing modalities. So we're going to get more into that. So thank you.
Thank you.
I have a little surprise for you too.
Oh, man.
Wow. So this last weekend, I went to North Carolina.
Right. Yes, you mentioned. I want to hear all about it. You know, I used to live there and I have property there, so
really,
I'm trying to sell it, but yeah.
I always heard about how awesome and beautiful it is, and I got it. I really got it. I'm hooked. I drove out there. A friend of, actually a family friend has a place there about 20 minutes from Asheville. She has a retreat center. Yeah, it's beautiful.
In the mountains. It's beautiful. And it's a lot of fern and moss covered rocks and babbling brooks and things like that.
Exactly. Waterfalls.
Sure.
Trails to the waterfalls. So I spent 3 days trailing, you know, walking up mountains, down mountains, sitting by the creeks, sitting by the waterfalls. And, you know, I went there with an intention to heal and to have time in nature and to have that time to myself. And I really discovered the medicine that's available to us. Like, you know, we hear it all the time. Go out in nature, you know, it does you good. Right. It's really great to know things intellectually, but it doesn't do anything until you experience it and actually apply it. you know. So having those 3 days in nature was extraordinary. I would wake up in the morning, make breakfast. We had a nice little apartment kind of room with a kitchen and a living room and a small bedroom. So we got to make our food in the morning and then go out and trail for the whole day. We must have done like, I don't know, 10 or 11 trails. I'm sure you know them. There was, of course, Chimney Rock is like the famous one out there.
Sure.
There's an elevator there for people who, but the elevator was down, so there was a discount to get in because the elevator was down. But it felt like it was like probably a 60, 60, what do you call it, level, building. Sure. More or less, I don't know. And that was wonderful. But the ones I really enjoyed were the low-key ones, the ones you don't have to pay.
Right.
The ones you just walk in.
Yeah, little state parks, but they're everywhere. I mean, the whole Appalachian Mountain Range is like just a series of state and national parks, and even the areas that aren't, are, not so bad. Yeah. Meaning the bad areas are not so bad. It's nature, and you can discover a lot. Like when you live there, you just start exploring. You just take this trail, and you don't know if it's a game trail or a people trail, and you find these little cemeteries out in the middle of the woods that are like just abandoned, like it was obviously some community, an Appalachian community, maybe a Civil War era graveyard or something, or a building, an old barn, just in the middle of nowhere, just like a chimney. You'll be out in the middle of the woods and here'll be a chimney because that's the only brick part of the house. The wood all rotted away, but there's the chimney. You just never know what's out there. The people have been living in that area for 200 years, and it's it's cool. I love it. You're taking me back.
Yeah. Well, there's so much about it that was extraordinary. Ricky, you had sent me a text message and you had said to me, "Be like a tree." The tree loses its leaves, it grows back, and it doesn't make it mean anything. It doesn't get emotional about it. And I did spend time with the trees, and just sitting next to them, being with them. There's just so much, if we listen in nature, there's so much wisdom for us to get. Whatever we're open to, we'll receive out there. So the other thing that was so cool was the people are so nice. They're so kind, or they're so generous. They're so welcoming. They're so accommodating. We had like this, we were driving and we weren't sure where to go. So somebody stopped and then there was a car behind them. So the car behind them had to wait. And the person, gave us directions. We talked, must have been like, 3 minutes. But for the person behind, like they were just waiting. And they just waved at us. I mean, in South Florida, you
wave at everybody. I told when I took my then wife up there for the first time, I said we're gonna, just like when I explained when we went to her first Cuban party. I said, you're gonna be kissing everyone, right? And when we went to North Carolina, I said, you're gonna be waving and saying hello to everyone, right? You wave to everyone you pass out on the highway, especially in our neighborhood. And if you are standing next to someone in line, you say hello, or anybody that you encounter, you say hello. If you're waiting for the bathroom, you say hello. You greet everyone. It would be really weird and rude not to. Yeah. It's very friendly. And you mentioned the trees, because I noticed that your guest name is Tree. I don't know, because I lived in Montana too. I don't know where there is more diversity in the trees than in North Carolina, where the climates overlap. You've got that subtropical. You've got some. You've got apples and cold weather trees, and then you've got trees that are warm weather trees, and depending on the time of year, you've got everything is different. You've got different leaves, different trees, different things are growing. Everything has its time, and there are evergreens to a certain extent there. So
and a little tidbit,
huge.
The Venus flytraps, carnivorous plants, are native to North Carolina, the only place in the world.
Wow. And what are they?
Those carnivorous plants that eat flies.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Well, it's because they must grow in the clay, which is really it's tough. They have to get nutrients from the meat, because a lot of clayey areas in the mountains there, and so the soil isn't great. The only things they can dig deeper down, get a good foothold. Glad you had a good time in North Carolina.
Oh,
I love it.
That's a
great area.
Part for me was being in the South. And all the soul food. I love soul food. And I didn't know what a variety there is of soul food. There's black soul food, there's white soul food, and I'll just categorize them like that. And inside of each one of those cultures, there's a variety of different barbecues and barbecue sauces and how they prepare stuff. And I don't eat any meat. So, just an example of how accommodating and kind people were. We went to a place called D Daddy's Barbecue. Like, you ever been to Tom Jenkins on US 1 here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Tom Jenkins for me is like, it's the bomb. It's the real stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was looking for Tom Jenkins in North Carolina. We found like the franchise ones. There was like a Luann's. I did all of them. And but the thing is, a lot of their vegetarian sides, like the collards, which I love collards, they're all cooked with meat.
Yeah.
So I was on a mission. Like everywhere I would go, check out like how I can, create a soul food meal experience a la vegetarian. And so at Daddy D's, this was a real this was the real soul food deal. They had like the tables with like checkered, tablecloths, and it was kind of tacky looking and just perfect. Just exactly what I was looking for. And so I ordered a meal, and they had fish, and I eat fish occasionally. So I asked for the fish not fried. And I got 2 sides, and one of the sides was fried, but I didn't have a choice because all the other stuff had meat in it. So I got the candied yams, and I got the squash. And the squash was supposed to be fried, and the cook came out, and she said to me, "I noticed you don't eat fried food. Do you want me to stew the squash for you instead of fry it?" Who does that?
Okay.
And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So she brought me out this soul food meal, made kind of healthy because they didn't fry stuff. So I had I had cornbread for the first time. It was a cornbread muffin with butter. Whoa. And it was so good. Yeah. Oh, and I had banana pudding for dessert, and that is we've got to create that vegan healthy style, because that's a great combo.
Yeah, our house is near West Jefferson, and they have a place there called Smoky Mountain Barbecue, which is, we've watched it grow from a little trailer to like a really big standalone place.
Is that in North Carolina?
That's North Carolina, Jefferson, West Jefferson. It's near Boone and Blowing Rock, where I used to live. And it's just everything. It's family owned. It's I know you don't eat meat, but it's very lean pulled pork and everything. But they have hush puppies there that are just like corn. Of course, they're fried. Everything is fried, but it's cornmeal. And I know you could do a vegan thing. But they with the kernels of corn, with like the whole chunks of corn. So I think you could pan bake hush puppies with the real kernels of corn and a lot of that stuff. Just bake it, not fry it.
And I got to learn, like, the hush puppies are kind of like, and the cornbread is kind of like the rice, so it's like what you use to maneuver things around. And I discovered the mustard-based barbecue sauces. Those were great.
Yeah.
And so it was like lots of soul food, and then lots of soul healing. And so that was my North Carolina, my first time there, and my adventure there, and loved it, man.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because you had a good time.
So I'd like to take a couple of minutes and
Sure.
And have our couple of minutes of metta. Metta is loving kindness. So wherever you are right now, just sit up a little bit taller, and if you're driving, I highly recommend you keep your eyes open. Otherwise, you're welcome to close your eyes. Start getting connected to your best friend, your breath. Every time we breathe in another moment. We breathe in life. We breathe in love. I seek forgiveness to anyone I may have hurt today, with my words, my thoughts, my actions. I forgive any person who may have hurt me today with their words, their actions, or their thoughts. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be free. May I be free from my own limiting beliefs, my own limiting thoughts, my own limiting stories. about myself and others and life. May I be free from anger, hatred, animosity, ill will, and jealousy. May all beings everywhere be happy, be peaceful, be liberated. May all beings everywhere, visible or invisible, be free from suffering. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy, be free. May all my actions, my words, my thoughts contribute to happiness and freedom for all beings. Take one more deep breath in. Fill yourself up with life and love and light. And exhale any heaviness, restrictions, tightness. Give yourself the gift. Be happy.
Sure, yeah, get me into the zone.
I love that. I love it that I had to take you out. Those of you who weren't watching, George was so in his meditation that I had to tap him.
I gotta say that, the fragrance, because this is, I've smelled this before the last time you brought it in, but I never did a meditation on it. Fragrance is really important.
Lavender.
As part of that whole thing when you're, when you're tuning this world out and that world in, the fragrance, because that's what I was zoning on. It's like, wow, that really smells good, that fragrance. And that's not the only fragrance that's going on in the room. So yeah. That's what I was doing. It's like, what's that smell now? Is that sandalwood?
It is sandalwood.
Really?
I'll do a plug for my friend Lonnie. She has actually down the street. She has Solistic. It's a beautiful healing space, and she has her scent. It's sandalwood and vanilla. She mixes the two together, and that's what you're smelling. That's me.
Okay.
It's all I wear. I love it. All right.
Excellent. Yeah. Spotted that sandalwood right off.
Wow. Thank you all for tuning in. I just felt like, I felt the collective energy and how powerful it is when we set our intention, and set it in a positive way for the world. So just taking a minute or two every day to send ourselves love. And I know for me, when I take the time to be generous and loving and kind to myself, it's like it just flows out of me, and I can give it to others like it's not even something I think about. It's effortless. So thanks for tuning into that.
Great. Well, thanks. Thanks for my dose.
Cool.
Daily dosage of meditation.
I want to do a little plug for Suzanne. So remember Suzanne who was here last week?
Yes, I do.
So
I'm twisting her arm. Well, both of you guys are going skating. I'm going to do your thing, and you're going to do mine.
Yeah.
We're going to do each other's things.
Yes. Well, you've got a couple of other things that you were going to do too. You're going to bring your daughter to yoga.
Yes. Well, that's a tough one. I'm still working on that. I'll bring myself to yoga before that happens.
Bring yourself to yoga.
She's a tough nut. So to vary.
Will I meet her next week?
No.
Okay.
It's adult night.
Adult night. Okay. Yeah. So George skates, but like roller skating.
Yeah, and the same thing. I find there's a lot of similarity to yoga in a different way, because once you because I remember my first few yoga sessions, and I'm not what I would consider good at yoga, but I'm not a noob either. Like, I remember the first time I did downward dog, it was kind of like downward ostrich. I did face plant, did a kind of face plant
downward ostrich
into the mat,
awesome.
and The first time I tried to do what is it, warrior stance, I fell right over, and I have good balance and everything. Once you get past that point where you don't have to, where the different poses and transitions don't freak you out, then you can really start to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with skating. Once you get to the point where you don't have to really think about falling and you're just comfortable, then you can get into the euphoria of the flying, the sensation of flying, where you're flying effortlessly. And people like to go fast. And now that I'm older, I really didn't realize that what you get out of it mentally. Sure, you get the cardio exercise, but it's what you get out of it mentally. You really do lose yourself. You feel young again mentally. It takes you back. So just like you want to turn people onto yoga because you know how good it can be, both physically and mentally. That's how I am about the roller skating thing, and how a lot of people are. I mean, even someone who's into bad habits, they like people to do that. They want to get people into that to validate themselves. Mm-hmm. And so I got a good habit, and I want to turn people onto it. So,
okay.
So I'm going to go to, like, Monday. I have no good excuse for not going, other than just I'm busy doing work.
So wait, Monday class. I'm going to come to your skating
next week.
Okay, and you're coming to my event tonight.
I'm coming to your event tonight. Yes.
Cool. So
because I'm very curious about that, and I know you're going to tell the audience and me. That's why I wanted you to save it. You're going to tell everybody at the same time, and I'm going to learn.
I'll share a little bit about it. But let me go back to Suzanne's plug for a second.
Yes.
So Suzanne, last week, Suzanne came on the show and she talked to us about leaky gut and about healing the gut. And so I'm so excited. Suzanne has so much knowledge, so much experience, and she has so much to share. And she is offering a workshop this weekend on Sunday at I Love Yoga Studio from 12 to 5. She will be really breaking that stuff down. And, the next step after you learn all that, she's going to provide like the blood test kit and figure out what your genotype is. Like she had talked about figuring out what foods are superfoods for you. So it's a 5-hour workshop, so she's gonna cover a lot, and it's gonna be very personalized, so people can leave there, very clear what's needed for them. So if anybody's interested in, highly recommended, iloveyogastudio.com. That's the website for the studio. You can get information on there. And then also tonight, George, you're going to be attending. We have a free workshop tonight at I Love Yoga.
By the way, if they go to your show page when they listen to the show, right there, I made a link for her.
Oh, you did?
Her 5 steps challenge. So in the
thing.
show description from last week, they can just click on the little link right there. It just says gut challenge, and it's a hyperlink. They can go right to their webpage.
Perfect. Her website actually has a big description of the workshop, and you can even sign up and register right from the website.
Great.
So, cool. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. So a little bit about tonight.
Yep.
So tonight's workshop is called Living the Best Life, or Living the Life of Your Dreams. It's a free workshop. It's from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. at I Love Yoga Studio. And George, I'm so happy you're coming.
Me too.
I really am. This is something that I'm, like you want to share with everybody about roller skating because it makes a difference in your life. That's how I am about yoga. That's how I am about anything that I'm passionate about. And tonight is an introduction to a course that I did like 10 years ago called the Landmark Forum. And it freed me up. It freed me up from my stories. It freed me up from my resentment towards the male species. I had huge breakthroughs in my health. I had huge...
We're bad.
It is what it is, Right. And it allowed me to be in a relationship for 8 years that completely transformed my whole life. And there's just so much that has come out of me participating there. So what we do at I Love Yoga, we do these free workshops for 3 hours every other month so that the people can find out about it. And if you're interested and you see something for yourself, then you can go sign up and do it. They're in Fort Lauderdale, and it's called Landmark. So that's what's happening tonight. If you wanted more information, again, go to our website, iloveyogastudio.com. Everything's on there, including our contact information.
Great.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Do I have to wear anything special?
You have to wear something.
Okay. I'm going to wear this.
Come and be yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. That's one thing I love about I Love Yoga is like we all end up there because we're kind of the weirdos in our families. And we find our tribe there.
How did you know?
I can tell. It takes one to know one, Okay. And when you discover a whole bunch of weirdos, you're like, I'm home.
So
I'm so home.
Okay, that's right.
That's what it is. It's not me or the establishment. It's just the recognition that we're not alone and we can be ourselves.
Did you see the Blind Melon video, with the Bumblebee girl? No range to that. You know, she's dancing and everybody looks at her like she's a weirdo until she finds the other dancing bumblebees. Yeah.
That's an old video. That's so
It is a cool video. It made me a little, misty the first time I saw it. Oh. But yeah, I think everybody can relate to that.
Yeah. So one of the weirdos I met at I Love Yoga is my friend, Ricky Tree. Ricky,
Thanks.
I remember the first time you came. You came with your dad and you took my class.
I did.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. I fell in love with the place. I fell in love with yoga all over again.
Cool.
It was just amazing. And I realized the space of weirdos that it was. And I knew I was home.
Awesome. I have a surprise for you.
Oh man.
Okay. So I told Ricky this the other day, and I did it. I wrote that letter to your mom and your dad.
Oh my God.
So, I love Ricky so much, and I think
No way.
I think for a lot of people, we just want our parents to be proud of us. We just want them to appreciate what we do, even though it may not be what they want for us. Like, we just want them to be happy for us because we found what we want and we're happy, And I thought, wow, wouldn't it be cool just to write letters of acknowledgement to parents, letting them know how freaking awesome their kid has turned out. So this is my letter to Mr. and Mrs. parents of Ricky Tree.
Oh.
Aw.
Mom, I hope you're listening.
Should we have music?
Sure.
You
No.
know?
Chimes. No.
Chimes. There we go.
Yes. Oh, that's good. That's good, George. Thank you. I'm writing you this letter to celebrate the amazing son you have brought into this world. Ricky is a very, very special being. He's extremely talented, and he's a powerful healer and a generous soul. You should be very, very proud of him and of yourselves. Evidently, you two are just incredible people who have done a very, very good job raising this young man. On behalf of myself and thousands of people around the world, I thank you, I acknowledge you, I honor you. God bless you. Thank you.
Wow, Z Love.
Welcome to the show, Ricky.
Thank you. I feel so welcomed. That's so amazing. I'm so I don't even know how to.
We have a lot of shows on here. Most of the hosts aren't that nice to the guests.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Usually they get ambush questions. I mean, or a drink. That's about as good as it gets.
This is it. This is it. This is where.
I think
this is where love is the answer.
It is. It's the new game. Write letters to people's parents. So Ricky, I actually knew your dad before I knew you. So
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm excited to have you on because you're a wealth of knowledge, and what you bring to the world is like what's needed right now. And so you're an expert in plant-based living. Can you give us a little, what that all means?
What that all means about plant-based living is essentially reintegrating nature, plant life, the foods that we eat, living foods that we're eating, and the like our environments. Like, for instance, this room that I'm in right now doesn't have any plants in it, and where I'm coming from is really reintegrating nature into the human day-to-day life. Okay. Right? Because we formed this separation from nature at some point when, for me, it was when we really started to scientifically define a lot of the things in nature. We literally started to fractionate or isolate compounds that exist naturally in nature. So we took like in this little bottle, there's, some oil of ylang ylang, right? And we separated the oil from the flower. So we separated the flower from our life so that we can separate the oil from the flower. And I just find that it's very interesting that over the evolution of us going through this research and trying to, discover what it is we're actually working with, we separated ourselves completely from it, and we started to play around with the isolated compounds.
So just looking from someone who's like you obviously value plant life, okay? I'm just looking from someone's point of view who's sitting on their couch eating potato chips and watching the news. Mm-hmm. What is valuable for them to bring plant-based life into their lives?
It's really cool that you mentioned that you went to North Carolina, mm-hmm. and how good you felt in the trails, and how good you felt with all of the life and all of the trees and all of this and all of that. 2013 summertime, I hitchhiked across Canada. And I met a lot of interesting people. And one of the people that picked me up was a politician that was running for office in Ontario. And he was telling me a bunch of things. And one of the things that really stuck with me, and unfortunately, I cannot remember the word for the life of me. I've tried to Google it. I've tried to do all kinds of stuff. But there's studies, scientific studies. There's people in labs right now studying the immune systems of humans. And the difference of the strength of the immune system of a human that has been in a city for X amount of time, and the immune system of that same human that was in a forest for that same amount of time. And what they're finding is that the immune systems of humans actually function exponentially better, exponentially stronger when they're around all of this in a forest. So what the research right now is like, what is it about the forest that is increasing the immune system of humans? Is it all the life? Is it all of the water? Is it this? Is it that? Like this is where the research is, and this is what this man told me. He was in the Green Party for Ontario, and I hope he wins, because he had a lot of conscious things to say. So right now, what we're dealing with, and this is no secret. This is not like something I just made up. You know, right now what we're dealing with is a lot of dis-ease in across the world, particularly in metropolitan cities where people are living literally on top of each other. And what we're trying to do is like sterilize the cities so that people don't get sick, but people are getting sick anyway. And I'm finding that it's this very sterilization process that is inhibiting us from being able to heal our own selves. It's like last week Suzanne was talking about probiotics, right? And putting probiotics into our guts. But what we're doing is sterilizing the city, sterilizing our own systems, right? So the probiotics that would normally exist in our gut don't break down nutrients the same way. So this like food in our systems stays and gets and rots, and we don't extract all of the nutrients. And this is so the case, like as above, so below. This is like the laws of the universe, right? What happens inside of our bellies happens in our environment, in our city, in our household. It'll go from our household to the city, to the country, to the world, to the planet, to the galaxy, to the cosmos. Like it fractals all the way out. And to answer your question, bringing plant life just not only into your home or into your body, right? Will increase overall quality of life, increase like overall just immune response, and all of these things. It's just
feeling good. Like I felt the difference.
And feeling complete and happy. Like
happy.
You're part of nature. Like a lot of times we're feeling disconnected from something. We have like a beautiful life, beautiful wife, lots of money, beautiful family, car, TV, all of these things.
Something's missing.
And we live our entire lives like acquiring this and acquiring that and going for this and going for that. And it's like, but people are like, they're not complete. And where is that completion, right? And then people retire and move into the woods, and they're like, whoa, this was it the whole time. I've been living my entire life working my butt off essentially, and now I'm like retired in the woods and I feel complete. What is it? It's the trees, it's the nature, it's the sounds of the birds and the crickets, and this is how we evolved on this planet.
The words that word that came to mind to me is nurturing.
Nurturing.
I felt so nurtured. And like, I can't say many people feel that way in everyday life. You know, it's like we're going off of fear, and everything is pointing to fear. And there was a sense of safe, security, nurture, you know, being in the mountains and being in nature.
Like you're almost like you're home, almost like you're in the care of your mother.
Yes.
Of Mother Nature.
Okay, so how do you recommend busy urban life people like me and others, how do we incorporate this into our lives? How can we bring it in?
Wow. There's so many different ways, and one of the things that I like to recommend people is to get a mint plant or like some kind of like plant and put it in their kitchen. And every time they're drinking a glass of water, just take a couple of leaves of the mint and put it in their water. Cool. You know, and if you just leave the stem of mint in your water for, you know, just long enough, it'll actually start growing roots, right? So you're actually drinking living water, or water that is nurturing life And if you consider what Nikola Tesla said like 100 years ago, it's like if you think of the universe in terms of vibration and frequency, you'll be able to answer like the questions of the universe. And what you're doing when you have living water, you're increasing the vibration of the substance you're putting into your body. But what if you don't want to work with plants? What if you don't have the time for that? One of the things that I've picked up, you know, and I just couldn't believe it. You know, I just couldn't believe how powerful, how effective these plant extracts can be. About 4 years ago, for the first time, I smelled the essential oil, the essence of ylang ylang. Actually, I have it here, and you guys can just you don't even have to put it on your skin. You can just smell it, and you can instantly feel the effect in your nervous system, instantly feel the effect in your circulation.
I can't help it. I feel sexy.
You feel sexy, right? And it's interesting because ylang ylang is historically an aphrodisiac type of fragrance, and it's quite interesting.
You feel it?
Yeah.
I want some.
You want some, yeah.
But it's behind my neck.
Yeah. Since I'm sitting next to Z, love.
Yeah.
You know, and
so ylang ylang comes from, it's a flower.
It's a flower. It's ylang ylang essential oil comes from the flower of a large tree that is native to the Indonesia area. It can be grown down here in South Florida. This particular one comes from Madagascar.
Okay, and what does this do? What does it do to my body?
Besides smell good.
Besides smell really amazing. Okay, so particularly ylang ylang is really, really, really amazing for anxiety. Like it really calms anxiety down. You'll notice if you like, since you're in your body, you can feel your heart rate actually slow down once the aroma is present in the room, once the aroma is present in your body. There's so many benefits, and then of course the actual molecular structure of the oil is very skin healing. Like it facilitates the regeneration of skin cells. But that's, and I mean I could go on for an hour just talking about ylang ylang. But what I want to do is bring awareness to the fact that this is plant material. Right, and the first time that I smelled this plant material, it really affected my life. Like I was really like, whoa, what are we working with here? This is literally affecting me. It's like I didn't have to like smoke anything or take anything or do any. I just like smelled it, and all of a sudden I'm feeling this certain way. So I became completely like borderline obsessive about what it is we're working with here, and.
So you're a master aroma therapist. You can prescribe stuff for people based on symptoms, and you're like a doctor.
Okay. Like in a way, yeah, you could call it like a doctor, and it's not an MD in any way, you know. Mm-hmm. And what we work with, since you mentioned that specifically, it's really important for me to mention for particularly legal issues, that what we work with is complementary alternative medicine. Yeah. So when go to your doctor, get prescribed whatever pills they're going to prescribe you, and then you come see us, and then we figure out a way to integrate this natural medicine into your life, along with, and then eventually we can wean off of, whatever it is that, these they're prescribing, which oftentimes contain toxic compounds in our systems.
So can I take this in a direction? The three main things that people deal with. I would love to know what they can take, okay? Mm-hmm. So overweight, lack of energy, and stress. Okay, yeah.
Cool. So as far as essential oils go, there's this one essential oil, the essential oil of fennel. It's an appetite suppressant. So it's like that. So the way...
And you take it, or you just smell it? You ingest it?
You smell it. Aroma.
Oh.
Aroma therapy. And then you don't want to be ingesting essential oils unless you're like under the care of somebody that it knows what they're doing, because it's very easy to cause hypersensitization in your organs, in your liver, in your kidneys, in your esophagus. Like when you're using essential oils internally, especially when you're using like really, really high quality pharmaceutical grade, like stuff you get anywhere else that says that it's ingestible, is usually altered in a way that it can be ingested. It's not as concentrated as it would be when there's a certain method of extraction being used. And it's just interesting. I just really kind of quickly want to get back to like you asked me like how is it that that busy people can bring this like nature into their lives, and that's just it. Like exploring the essential oils and plant extracts is one way to bring these plants into your life without having to like water a plant or anything like that. It's obviously more expensive, but if you don't have the time to take care of a plant, you're working and making money, right? So you can like that. This is kind of it. It's like a compromise. It's a trade off. It's an energy exchange,
Got it. Wow.
So yeah, and it's really a really interesting thing. So like for instance, stress, right? Like lavender, ylang ylang, like all the like there's a lot of essential oils that really affect the body in a way where you can just completely relax, right? And that's how these plants work. It's like in Ayurveda, which is basically the study of life. It's an ancient type of wellness studies that comes from ancient India, like 5,000 years ago in the Vedas. And in Ayurveda, they say working with these plants actually activates the non-mechanical parts of the brain. Now, what does that mean, right? We have parts of the brain that particularly since the Romans kind of took over and started telling people how to live their lives, right? And we kind of started to suppress the parts of the brain that perceive the world around us and allow us to have high intuition. Humans naturally have a very, very high level of intuition and complex instincts. We have a very complex kind of programming for instincts. Over the years, we've been programmed to sort of not need to tune into these to survive, right? So we've forgotten a lot of them. But when we use these when we're working with the plants, we're working with live plants, working with essential oils, whatever it is, you're even like in nature, what's happening is these parts of your brain, your intuition and your own capacity to communicate with your own self is increased. The human body has an amazing capacity to communicate with itself, with you. Like that, we're literally a web of nerves, and nerves are basically communication. It's like a communication network. So when we're in pain, or when we're feeling a certain something, or when something is going on, our whole body's feeling it. It's like I have a headache, but it's not just my head that's hurting. It's like I feel fatigued. I'm tired. I don't feel like doing anything. It's like not just the headache. It's the whole thing. So the ability to figure out, not even to figure out, to feel what it is that's causing your headache.
It's almost like sharpening the muscle of listening to our own body.
To your own body.
And actually trusting ourselves.
And that's the important thing that I'm noticed is missing with inside of a lot of the conversations that I'm having with people. They're like, oh man, my shoulder hurts. I shouldn't be doing this. And they're like doing a vinyasa class, or like they're going to the gym every other day, like lifting weights. I'm like, hello, your shoulder's talking. Like, that's your teacher talking to you. Your shoulder is telling you what it is you need to be doing with your body. And you're just like not trusting it because it's not, a doctor, MD telling you really, because the doctor is prescribing you painkillers. And then you go to the gym because you can't feel the pain and you're hurting your shoulder even more. It's like your shoulder's communicating to you. The pain is communication. It's not something bad that we want to get away from. It's something good that's telling us what's healthy or not.
Yeah. Teacher.
It's a teacher.
Okay, Ricky, so let's go back to the last thing, which was low energy. People who are like, I'm tired all the time, don't have any energy. What plant? What oil?
Although like mints are really good for that. Eucalyptuses are really good for that. Ravensara, oreganos are really good for that. There's like a lot of... For here now, we can say mints, eucalyptuses, and like the citruses will bring energy.
Okay.
To
energizing.
and it will energize the being.
Okay.
And of course, the list can go on and on. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of plants, and there's about 150 essential oils right now in the world market trade. But there's plants available for anyone and everyone to use, depending on the area that you're in.
I have a question about oils that I've always wondered. So, for example, let's say when we separate compounds from food, like for example, glutathione is something that's taken out of avocado. And you take it out of avocado and you take the pill, it's not as effective as eating the avocado because it's combined with whatever else the avocado provides that works with the glutathione that has it be healing. So with the oils, you're kind of doing the same thing, right? You're extracting something from the plant. And does that apply also? Is it less effective because you're extracting it and taking it out of its environment?
Well, that's a very interesting question, and the answer to that is essentially it doesn't work the same way, right? If you're smelling the flower of an ylang ylang, it would very much more likely have a much more calming and have a much more sexy sense, like feeling, than you smelling the like a pure, awesome, really amazing, great essential oil. And the reason why is because exactly that. These compounds exist in nature in combinations, in synergies, where all of this comes together and plays an important role. The thing with essential oils is that there's so many different ways of extraction, and so many people extracting essential oils all over the world and have developed so many different methods and different intentions for extracting the oils. So some oils will have considerably fewer compounds than many other essential oils that are distilled for different reasons. For instance, the really medical grade, pharmaceutical grade essential oils have the most complex constitution of compounds, of what natural compounds, while more commercial grade, like, I don't want to say, but stuff you would get at like at a store or like whatever kind of store, those, because of the massive amount of product that they need to be producing, the extraction method actually creates an environment where there's fewer compounds inside of the bottle, but there's a lot more bottles that can be sold to like other people.
I'm just gonna put in a plug, Ricky, because I know you create different mixes and oils for people, and I know you have like over 25 different oils that you offer on your website. What is your website?
The website is thegoalove.com.
TheGoalove.com.
Yes.
Yeah, and Goa is your space, Garden of Abundance down in Homestead. Beautiful, beautiful, just place for the tribe to also get together.
Yeah. It's a healing space. It's just a space for self-expression. The Gardens of Abundance basically it was originally created as a space in consciousness that can be accessed anywhere. It's a space of consciousness where we can become aware of the abundance that is always surrounding us at any given moment, any given time. All the love, all of the food, all of the water, all of the animals, all of the trees, all of this and all of that. And just like, if you look at life through a certain lens, you can see it all. And if you look at life through another lens, you can't. So in just outside of Homestead, the Gardens of Abundance is the space that we've created to sort of practice being in this state of mind where we can always be in observation of the abundance that's always all around us, and by doing that we practice yoga and karate and meditation and permaculture, gardening, and just like a lot of just like learning and being, existing, fire circles and drums and all, just amazing things. And that's just it. That's just like, that's another way to bring nature into our daily lives. Go look for it. Maybe you live in an apartment, and you can't, you don't live, you're not in that environment, but that you want to be in nature. Everyone's like, man, I should spend more time in nature. It's like, I haven't been camping in 15 years. I want to go or I've never been camping, and everybody talks about it. There's parks, there's this, there's that. Like, if you go to a park and look at the trees, don't go to the park just to go to the park, but if you go to the park to look at the trees, go to the park to find nature, on your walk back home, when you're back home, you're going to be like, wow, I really had a powerful experience at the park because I saw the life in it. And that's just it, is that we want to feel like we're part of life. We're not just like living by ourselves or living for something, but we're living with something. That doesn't really count on us or itself or anything. It's just like being in its own being. It's being with us.
That's deep.
And that's the nurturing aspect that you were talking about earlier.
It's like, it's almost like we have to like, there's your awareness and your consciousness comes in different steps, and nature just takes you to another level. I want to ask you about what's the deal with the energy that comes from the earth, by placing your bare feet on the earth. Like what is the deal with that? Like Lance Armstrong, he's known, when I read his book, he actually plugged himself in. Like he was on the second story in a room in his house, and he basically plugged something into his feet barefoot at night, and it would hang down to the floor and connect to the ground so that it would give him healing energy. Have you heard of that?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, every morning, or I try to do it every morning.
You're always barefoot, Reiki. Always.
Well, I'm always barefoot, but like
I thought you were coming here barefoot.
Yeah, I'm actually barefoot right now.
You are. You did.
Well, I didn't.
Okay.
I took off my shoes.
Me too.
A moment ago. But it's interesting you mentioned that, because I mean, I try to go. I try to go to the beach. I mean, I live around here. The beach is 10 minutes away from wherever I'm at, so it's like digging my feet into the ground and just watching the sun, right? And it's something like I mentioned earlier. If you think of the universe in terms of frequency and vibration, you'll understand the universe. This is not me saying this. This is Nikola Tesla, which is like, well, he's essentially the genius, alternative current, and all kinds of amazing things that he brought into this world. And that's just it. Everything is in this in this vibrational existence. And when we take our shoes off and connect to the earth, we're harmonizing with the energies that come in and out of the planet. That the planet is coming into and out of us. It's like we're literally we're removing that separation from us. And I know that it has to do with some kind of electrons being taken out of this or that. I'm not exactly too sure. And
the science of it. There is a science to it.
The molecular, there is a science to it, and they are in laboratories right now studying it. But for me, just go outside and put your experience it. Experience it.
Yeah.
Like there's really nothing like it. And it's like you said, it's like it's so nurturing to know that I could be with my shoes off and just like really feel empowered and healthy. And a lot of people are so scared. They're like, but our feet absorb like so much parasites and so much this and so much that. And it's like, yeah, they do, but our systems are designed, like our DNA is programmed to be able to create an environment in our body wherein these parasites can exist, right? But if you're eating all of these, like if you're eating processed foods and you're just like out of balance with nature, then yeah, you're gonna get sick. Get back into the balance of what nature is and reintegrate nature into your organism. Like we were talking about probiotics earlier, and it's just like crazy because Suzanne's talk last week really painted a picture for me. It's like the way I think with the probiotics in our guts, breaking down meat and breaking down chicken and stuff like that, so that our bodies can then digest it, is the same way that plants absorb nutrients from the soil. If it's like bugs, like worms and millipedes are the probiotics for plants. They'll be in the soil, and of course there's other bacteria, but something that we can like touch and feel and see. You can go outside and look at. The worm is gonna eat the banana peel, and then the enzymes inside of the worm is gonna break up the nutrients of the banana peel, and then when the worm lets it out, excretes it, then now the nutrients that was once a banana peel is now broken down into all of these different digestible compounds that the plants can then absorb. The plant can absorb the banana peel, so the plant can't eat without the worm. Just like we can't absorb nutrients, like from meat particularly,
without probiotics,
without bacteria in our system creating the chemistry in our body for us to be able to absorb it. And this is that whole immune system thing. This is how that works. And when we're in nature, we're exposed to the balance that happens naturally, and our bodies synchronize with it. And it's interesting because it's like the whole vibrational thing. It's like processed food has. Okay, so everything has a measurable frequency. This is science. Everything has a measurable frequency. When you touch the auxiliary cable, I'm sure like we've all heard that buzz. And that's the frequency of our bodies. Every organ in our system has a frequency, and the harmonization of all of our organs and all of everything is our individual, right? So when we're eating processed foods and foods that have been like, that have gone through, you know, a processing phase, anything in a package, anything in a box, anything in a can, it doesn't have any kind of
even organic cereal. I'm just kidding.
Even organic cereal.
Even organic Cheerios.
Well, see, the word organic is like it's a marketing. You know, it's like a marketing thing. Like it has to, obviously, if it's labeled organic, it has to go through X, Y, and Z process to be labeled organic. But where I stand is that it has to go through X, Y, and Z process. It has to. I mean, it's gonna go through a process regardless. You know, like the Gardens of Abundance is not technically an organic farm because I haven't certified it and this and that or whatever. But like, I don't even use fertilizer. You know, and I have more tomatoes than I can handle. So it's like, it's an interesting thing. Can
we talk about food? We have just a few minutes, and I would love to just
let's talk about food.
I love to talk about food.
Please.
So I'm gonna be a little superficial. So I heard you have really great 6-pack, and can you give us like just some tips, you know, like how to eat? How do you eat? How do you maintain yourself? And you're a very healthy, fit young man, and you eat mostly plant-based, you know, which to a lot of people is like, you know, they just don't understand how you can get all the protein and everything that you need just eating plant-based. So if you can give us just a little, and I think this deserves a whole show, and I'd love to have you back to talk about food, but if you can give us just a couple of tips from Ricky Tree, you know, how do you get a 6-pack like that?
Just eat as close to the ground as you can, you know, like avoiding, like I mentioned, the processed foods. It's like every time I eat every time you see processed food, every time you get the opportunity to go into like eating something like that, like consider what it is you want your body to look like, how you want your body to resonate. Do you want your body to resonate like something that's in a can, or do you want your body to resonate like something that just came off of a tree, you know? And it's just like really considering what it is you're putting in your body. We are what we eat. This is a fact.
Yeah,
you know,
that's not just a quip. I mean,
yeah,
quite literally, your body turns that into you.
Literally.
Right.
This is not like a joke. Like
what else? What do you think it comes from? You know,
you know, exactly. We don't just manifest out of thin air.
Yeah.
You know, we literally are what we eat. So it's important to always be in that, and like green, like protein, like all of this protein that everybody wants to eat is a joke. Like everything has protein in it. That's why it exists. Like protein is like the physical. It's like protein and fiber, like hand in hand. You know, it's like
there's so much protein out
like
there.
There's so much protein in everything. It's not like meat has the only, you know, protein. And I'm not gonna say that vegetarian and vegan lifestyle is the only way, you know, to live and to get a 6-pack. Like that's obviously,
I noticed that about you. You're very open, and you're very free with everything, and yet you maintain integrity with your beliefs and, you know, your values and your lifestyle.
Yeah, well, absolutely. It's just like Suzanne was talking about last week with the genotypes. We all have different genotypes in how we eat. So it's really just like being conscious of what it is you're putting in your body, where it's coming from, and being active. Like I don't sit on a couch and watch TV ever. You know, I'm usually out doing something in the garden. I'm usually out walking around. Like it's really being like, what do humans look like naturally in nature? What do primates look like naturally? They look like what I look like. You know, they don't look like what
wild hair and barefoot and healthy and bright.
I saw a gibbon wearing a hat like that just last Thursday.
Well, I mean, minus the clothing, and it's interesting.
That's funny. He was mentioning that on the way. He's like, I look kind of funny in my fedora hat and my mala beads, but that's the beauty of it, you know, just like being yourself and bringing all of it. Ricky, what I'm getting from you too is like I made this word up because, you know, people ask, are you vegetarian? Are you vegan? You're a gratitudinarian. You're just grateful. You're grateful to eat good food that supplies you, you know, the nutrients and really the nurturing. You know, really healthy food from the earth is nurturing. It's flavorful. It fills us in a different way.
Right. Can I just share like one thing? How much are we?
10 seconds.
Okay.
Take 30.
Okay. Living food, anything that's alive or was alive not very long ago, is what you want to be eating. Like if you're eating something that's been sitting on a shelf for a long time, no bueno. You want to you want to be eating something that's alive, that came out of somebody's garden, whether it was a chicken or whether it was, whether it's some spinach, like the chicken was alive at some point. You want to be eating it, bless it, thank it, and that's it, like,
and be grateful for it.
Be grateful for it.
Thank you, Ricky Tree.
Oh, there's so much more. I'm coming back on your show.
You're coming back. You're gonna have your own show.
Plug your yoga.
Awesome. You guys, thank you for tuning in. Yes, I Love Yoga Studio. This is a tribal ground for all to gather, to be yourself, to practice and to heal and to teach. We have yoga classes every day, multiple times a day. You can see the schedule at iloveyogastudio.com. Tonight we have an event. It's free from 7 to 10 p.m. It's about living your best life. This Sunday we have a gut healing workshop with Suzanne Caudell. Come and check that out. I really honor each one of you. I love you. I appreciate who you are in the world. And namaste. Peace. Blessings to all.
Namaste, namaste.
I'm feeling really good today.
You're listening to SoFloRadio.com.